It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Mandy the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody, it's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
Les Webster.
Hello all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello everybody.
How are y'all doing?
Tired.
I hear that. So, what's been going on in your corner? Your corner of the galaxy. Good start. Good
That was an
start.
interesting noise.
I don't know what that was. I think it was me though.
Oh, we're good. I suspected, but I didn't want to say. Anyway, so Galaxy, yes. I'm actually a little bit annoyed with myself because there are two books that came out by the time this drops last week that I completely missed until the last possible minute, and it annoys me. And there's kind of a theme here. They're books that I certainly would have plugged last week had I realized that they were coming out. The first one is a new arc of the October Faction by Steve Niles and Damian Worm. This one's called Supernatural Dreams, and I just really like these guys. I really like this book. The October family is something else, to say the least. They are monster hunters, and they're a lot of fun. They're like the coolest dysfunctional family in the ever. And so I was really excited to see that a new arc was starting, and really annoyed that I hadn't noticed that before. But my bad. That's on me. The other one is the fourth and final issue of a series called Frankenstein Alive.
Alive. Yeah.
The common theme being Steve Niles again. But this is the short little series that was basically the last thing that Bernie Wrightson was working on when he passed away last year. And
he didn't even finish it. It was Kelly Jones actually helped finish the book.
They brought in Kelly Jones to finish it out, and Kelly Jones did a very nice job of finishing the book out. It all works together pretty nicely. It's definitely worth checking out, and it has made me want to. I hadn't read the first three issues, which came out. I mean, they started coming out 2 years ago.
Right.
So I hadn't read them in forever. So I need to, now that I've got all of them, I need to put them all together and read them together.
I've been rather hesitant to read that because I just, it's going to be kind of bittersweet because it's new Bernie material, but it's his final work, and I'm just like, oh god, there's no more after this.
The interesting thing, and I hope this shouldn't spoil too much. The book itself is pretty damn bittersweet, as just standing alone. So, I mean, that feeling that you're going to get from it is going to be really fitting for the book too.
Okay.
Next.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Guys, I took your suggestion. Uh-oh. And I looked up. I know y'all are all in trouble. Okay. I looked up Kentucky Fried Movie. Ooh. And you guys didn't tell me this would be a movie that I'd be really, really, really embarrassed to watch with my son. So.
How old is your son? I mean, come on. He's old enough.
Yeah, but it was kind of one of those, well, maybe it's just this one part. Maybe it's just this one part. So. It was the whole movie.
Well, I mean, it was rated R, so I mean, come on.
It was just this part, but there are a lot of parts.
It's a sketch type movie. There's a lot of parts.
So after squirming in my seat for, an hour and a half there, I didn't know if I should look up the other one you guys suggested or not.
Amazon Women on the Moon, it's a little
There
tamer. It's a little tamer.
A little tamer.
It's a little tamer.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
you said you were embarrassed, but you didn't say whether or not you liked it.
That's the kind of show I would like because it's nothing you have to follow too hard, so
what's the problem?
Yeah.
Plays into your ADD. I mean, come on. What more do you want?
Right.
It's also funny as hell, right?
It was very funny, yes. But yeah, it was. I liked it. I think I would have liked it more if I would have watched it with like Phil or Hello.
Wait a couple of months and try watching it again without the kid. And
Yeah.
by the way, I say kid, grown person. This is a grown up
Right.
we're talking about.
Kind of. He's a millennial, so.
Oh, wow.
As grown up as he's ever going to get. So
There's a quick slap.
Yeah.
But I love him, so. But yeah, I found that pretty interesting,
well, good.
Yeah. And then someone suggested Ice Cream Man. And so I've been reading that one, and now I check behind the curtain shower and where's the spiders? So, yeah.
It is kind of creepy that way.
Very creepy. I don't know if I'll finish that one. I'm very, very arachnophobia, I guess it is. So.
Me too. So what?
Yeah, just a little creepy,
But that is a good read, too.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Certainly
mean,
is.
it takes good writing to make you feel that creeped out. So I'll hand him that. It is a good story. But it does kind of play on your phobias, though, kind of putting it in there of what if,
As any good horror story should.
Yeah. Maybe good, but just a little too good.
That's
Okay.
yeah. That's actually I like that review.
Well, unfortunately, I've got a big bag of nothing this week, so.
Oh man.
Oh. Even with the extra time. So, how about you, Les?
Well, let's see. I am reading one of a series by, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm reading one of the Quarry books by the author of Road to Perdition, among others, Collins,
Yeah,
Max Collins.
Yeah, Max
who
Collins.
also was a writer for Dick Tracy's comic strip at one time. And the character, this is the first book I've read of his, the character is really fascinating. I am pleased with how it's moving, and it's moving along well and fast enough to keep my interest. By the looks of it, this is something I will go back and try to find other books of in the series. And yes, he does have a comic book going right now. So
yeah, we'll get to that.
I was with comics and not with comics.
Well, that's all right. And I mean, yeah, Max Allen Collins has written just a ridiculous number of books. And you don't get to do that unless you're doing it well.
True.
So he's done all kinds of stuff. I mean, a lot of like mystery cop stuff, but I mean, he's ventured into other stuff as well.
Yes.
And he's written some comics too.
Mm-hmm.
He's written some Batman. Of course, Road to Perdition was a comic as well. So.
There you go.
And Les's favorite, Miss Tree.
Yes, that's very true.
Cool. Alrighty. Before we get into this week's topic, I want to take a couple of moments to thank our sponsors for their support. The fine folks at Things from Another World is a proud sponsor of the fellowship, or at least we hope that they are.
We like to try to make them proud, yes.
Yeah, we do our best. And right now, they're running their evergreen deals, which are still pretty impressive, which includes 40% off comics, statues, toys, and merchandise, 30% off select pre-order manga titles, and 50% off Nick and Nick comics. If you want to find out more about the deals that they're running, and of course by the time this pops out, there may be a new sale going on. What you can do is you can check us out on our website. That's www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and click on the sponsors tab, and we'll have some of have their deals that they're running right now. And you click on one of those links, that'll take you to their website. Let them know that we sent you their way, and take advantage of some of these deals that are going, because they just finished up free shipping, which was awesome. That's always a good deal, and they do that several times. And who knows, by the time this comes down, I'm sure there will be a just as equally impressive deal going on. So definitely go check it out. Alrighty, for this week, I thought it would be a little fun to revisit one of our prior episodes. Back in September of 2016, we did one covering Amalgam Comics. And for those who are not aware of that, it was a very short-term publishing. It was actually a joint publishing between Marvel and DC. It was part of the DC versus Marvel little event that they had. And this was back now, I guess now 27 years ago, I think. Anyway, and what happened was the two worlds were united and were basically joined together, and characters from both universes were kind of transformed into one. A perfect example, Super Soldier was Superman and Captain America. One of the most popular ones was Dark Claw, which was Batman and Wolverine. And we'll have a link in our show notes for that episode if you've not checked that out, or like a refresher course. We'll have the link to that episode in our show notes. But I thought it would be kind of fun to kind of go back and maybe try to create some of our own characters. I know there's been a couple websites, I don't know if they're active anymore, that would kind of create their own kind of characters, kind of continue this tradition. I remember one, and what they did was they took some of the art and they would alter it to make it into the new character. And one I can think of right off the top of my head was Spiderwing, which was a combination of Spider-Man and Nightwing. And basically what they did was the art. This was kind of the disco Nightwing costume that he used, or she used. I don't remember who did it now. And kind of went back and did some webbing and then colored some of it red and all that kind of stuff. It looked pretty good considering what was being done. But I thought for tonight we would kind of just kind of create our own little characters, kind of just a little fun exercise, see what happens. So, who would like to go first with their character?
Let's see what kind of weirdness we can come up with.
There you go.
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
Since it's a rarity, I'll start. There's a character, I think it's IDW, Wormwood. Wormwood is a corpse. Wormwood has adventures. Wormwood is an adventurous corpse. He is among the living. He's not a frightening soul. He is rail thin and kind of obnoxious. And I was thinking, God, don't tell me why, but pairing him with Deadman from DC. I just want the vision of Wormwood being occupied by Deadman and doing the athletic moves that Deadman does. I don't know if you've ever heard of Deadman or of Wormwood or seen him. This is not a person that can do physical tricks, I guarantee it. But for some reason, it was just an oddity that struck me as something to try. I have no other answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, sure. I mean, if nothing else, you've got this rail-thin creature leaping buildings in a single bound. There is a certain degree of potential absurdity there, even though both characters are. I mean, I actually don't know how serious Wormwood really is, but Deadman certainly is.
Yeah. And his name could be
Wormwood is a joke. That's all there is to it. He's done it as a humorous item.
Yeah, and I believe they're just wrapping up a series starring him right now, too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think it just happened recently. So, yeah.
Then yes, please throw that potential name out there again, Tom. I don't think.
No, that's all right.
No, that's good. Yeah.
Deadwood.
Deadwood.
Wormman.
I think it's fitting on many levels.
Mm-hmm. You saw where I was going with it.
Oh yeah.
It's the obvious one. I mean, that's the low dangling fruit, but hey, that's fine.
That's all right. We're all about the low dangling fruit on this show.
Woohoo! Okay, cool. Who wants to go next?
Oh, I'll go next.
Okay.
And I'll admit, I definitely got a very strong vein of Valiant running through my list here.
And that's not a problem.
Right. And honestly, the reason is that most of the super type books that I read are Valiant ones. So,
I didn't put any kind of limitation on it. Happened to be Marvel DC. Right. I didn't really put any kind of limitation. I just said, hey, create your own character, and that's fine.
Right.
So
exactly. So makes it more fun. Come up
there
with
you
some
go.
more interesting combinations. I wouldn't have thought of Wormwood, for example. Wouldn't have occurred to me, but it's still a fun one. Okay, so I started this one with Bloodshot. And for the handful of you out there who are not familiar with Valiant's universe and some of their characters, Bloodshot's the guy who he's just a normal dude, a normal soldier type, who is, I hesitate to use the word infected, but I'm not thinking of a better one right now, with nanotechnology, which basically boosts his system. They boosts his body, gives him, for all intents and purposes, superpowers. He can heal from any wound, and he's super strong and learns things fast. So that's Bloodshot. But my deal with Bloodshot is that he's kind of a normal guy. He's kind of a, even almost, you could almost say he's kind of a down on his luck type character. He's the guy that bad shit always happens to. He's the guy he's always having a rough time of it. He doesn't, his memory was erased at one point, and he got back some memories, but he's not sure if he got them back or had them implanted from someone else. So he's never really sure who he is and all that stuff.
Right.
So what I thought would be interesting would be to kind of take that in a different direction So I paired him up with Batman.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I thought if you're going to have this nanotechnology infested super soldier guy, let's put a multi-billion-dollar corporation behind him and see what happens.
There you go.
And not to mention he's a little better actor. He's got the whole secret identity thing that nobody's ever been able to figure out. So he's a little more social. I mean, calling Batman a social character is a stretch in a way, but I think it's certainly a very different social dynamic than Bloodshot. I thought combining the two would be fun.
Cool. I like that. I like that idea.
I do too.
Yeah. Well, when you described him, I was thinking, he's Valiant's Batman, because Batman had amnesia and the robot suit and didn't know what memories were implanted. So
there's some
Honestly,
arguments to be made there, but he's not that. He's kind of that darker soul type character. But there are a few others in the Valiant universe that would fit that bill too.
I was about to say Ninjak seems to me a little bit more.
Ninjak is. Yeah, I mean, if you combine Batman with James Bond, and I'm totally creating new ones off the top of my head now, which I was afraid would happen. You combine Batman and James Bond, and you've pretty much got Ninjak.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. Yeah.
And it's the timing's actually kind of cool because I just saw on my Twitter timeline that apparently Vin Diesel has signed on to play Bloodshot.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was really kind of hoping they would use the actors that they were doing for this web series because they looked perfect. But I'll give it a chance. I'll give it with Vin Diesel a chance, but we'll see.
Oh, if you want to give Vin Diesel a chance,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever seen Pitch Black?
Yes, I've seen Pitch Black.
Yeah, I could see that guy playing
Yeah.
Bloodshot. Sure, no problem.
I know, but I'm not exactly a Vin Diesel fan. That's
understood.
part of it.
And I suggest Pitch Black because the other two movies in that series were not as good.
Or horrible.
Not by a long shot. Actually, the third one I thought was okay.
I couldn't get through the third one. The second one.
The problem is, never mind. We're not gonna. We can talk about those movies some other time. But I need to stop because I could go off.
Yeah. But I mean, you got Judi Dench in that film, and you're just like, why is she in this? Why? Okay, you said we're not going to go there, but we're not. But yeah, it's just the thing was, it's just the cast for the web series, Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. Everybody they got looked perfectly. I'm like, why don't you use them? But I guess they wanted to go with the name.
They need names. They need names.
And yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it.
It sucks.
That doesn't mean I like it.
No,
but
you don't have to, and that's fine.
So,
right.
we'll see. So cool.
Yep.
I guess I can go next. I kind of cheated.
One of us always does.
Maybe not so much cheated, but I did this for. I'll say, cheated is the wrong word. I did this for selfish reasons. I took two of my favorite characters and I put them together. And the name I came up with is Mon-Vell. And it is Mon-El from Legion of Superheroes and Mar-Vell from Marvel Comics, the Captain Marvel. And basically, I've already told you why I put them together. They're my favorites. But I mean, Mon-El is a Daxamite, and for those who don't know, it's an alien whose power levels, depending on how things are now in the Rebirth universe, it exceeds Superman's or Kryptonians. Now you give him the Negabands and the cosmic awareness, and this is a all-powerful person. But he's also the protector of the universe.
So he's a good guy.
So he's a good guy. He's
Yeah.
a good guy.
Good, because you're the most powerful being in the universe. It's nice when they're a good guy, you know. It's kind of crappy when they're not.
Yeah. Works
Well,
out better that
not
way.
every. Yeah, well, Thanos is only doing what he's doing because he's wanting to get the attention of Death. So I mean, hey, we've all done that. We've all done that because we have feelings for.
Yeah, we've all tried to take over the universe because of our feelings for
Yes.
essentially a deity. Sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It happens all the time.
The age-old story.
No argument here.
Alrighty, Liz.
Well, this is my first time to do this, so I kind of did it differently than you guys have been doing it, and I kind of pieced together my own person. So I started with that my chick would be the most badass chick because she would have the fighting skills of Elektra. She would have the strength of Jessica Jones. She would have the agility and wit of Harley Quinn. And Wolverine's healing power. Oh, and the magic of Zatanna. So.
Oh, is that
the
all?
smorgasbord.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Would you want to cross her?
And you were concerned about my character, so come on.
Oh, no, I wasn't concerned at all. I'm just thinking Thanos hasn't met this chick yet, so, you know.
There you go. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
I think so.
pieced it together.
It's a lot of
that's
stuff,
fine.
too.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff to keep straight, you know.
Yep. And I almost added the lasso from Wonder Woman, but I thought that would be too much.
Oh, yeah, that's the part that's too much, yeah.
Okay, that just tipped it over, man. No.
So
No,
That's
unbelievable.
just totally unbelievable. Totally unbelievable now.
Tis the circle of life.
Oh, God. Really, Les?
Yes, he went there.
Uh-huh. He did. Well, since he went there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me toss this one at you.
Alrighty.
Get ready to duck.
Already did.
Oh, God, you're going to cross Howard the Duck with what?
Oh, hell no. Swamp Thing. Yeah. A mossy duck.
Yeah. But see, my chick can control swamp things, so.
How about Dr. Psycho, one of Wonder Woman's nemesis? And who is the character in Marvel?
Yeah.
If you recall, he's Thomas. He's similar to Hector Hammond. Is it the Thinker?
The Mad Thinker?
No, not the Mad Thinker.
Oh, no, that would be cool.
This is a guy that has the enlarged head like Hector Hammond.
You're thinking of MODOK.
No, this was an actual human that fought
The leader?
Hulk.
The leader.
Oh, yeah, the
The
leader.
leader, thank you. Yeah. Black Panther and the leader. Or not Black Panther. Dr. Psycho and the leader. And he could be Dr. Leader or Psycho Leader or Leader Psycho, whatever. But Dr. Psycho messes with the mind, and the leader has a tendency for manipulation. That's why I thought those two might be a combo.
Pretty nasty.
Call him
combo,
Psych Out.
too. Psych.
True.
That's kind of an interesting combination. That's one I would not have thought. I like that.
Yeah, it would be like if Professor X went bad, which is kind of a fun what-if idea.
Mm-hmm. No, don't give them ideas. That's the next event. Yay! It leads into the new relaunch. Woohoo! Sorry, I couldn't help it. Actually, I could have, but I didn't.
Why bother? Right.
Right.
It's all good.
Alrighty.
Does that make me next?
Yeah, you'd like to go next?
All right. So, again with the Valiant thing. If you're not familiar with who Livewire is the superhero who controls machines. She can pretty much take over any type of computerized anything and make it do whatever she wants, like from across the room. It's really cool. They usually bring her in when really large scale problems. She can like take over like the infrastructure. Like if there's some sort of disaster happening in the city, she can like go in and take over all of the little technical stuff that happens in the background in a city and stop things that way. So it's kind of cool, and she can do it. I mean, on a smaller scale as well, obviously. But right. So I have to admit, when I started thinking Livewire, I started thinking, well, what would happen if she went bad? And I thought, okay, so just a nasty two good characters gone bad and turn into like a really nasty supervillain would be Livewire and Nightcrawler. Because the name that if I was going to come up with a name for this one, it would probably be something like Safecracker, because there would literally be no security system that would ever stop this person. Yeah. Because if she can't shut it down, she can just teleport through it.
I should have put that in my chick too.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that. That's.
It would be one of those that you could have fun writing this character, because this character would have to constantly come up with reasons not to turn villain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would
be too easy.
Right. It would just be so easy for her to be just an awesome bad guy. But you'd have to like constantly keep putting things in her mind that would keep her from doing that. And I mean, honestly, you could almost do that with Livewire just on her own at this point, but
right.
Yeah.
But it would just be amplified with Nightcrawler's teleportation.
I commend you. That's really good.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one a lot.
Woo!
Woohoo!
I passed. Yay!
Alrighty. I am going with Demon Ghost. And this is obviously a combination of Ghost Rider and Etrigan the Demon.
Obviously.
And I'm having some fun with this one. Demon with like a flaming head, and of course has the pendant stare. But he's got a rhyme. Or she. It doesn't have to necessarily be he. The character's a male, but doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a male character. But he or she's got a rhyme. It could be some fun. That could be a fun book.
Be a bitch to write, but yeah.
Oh, Cullen Bunn could do it.
Well, sure. I mean, we could list 25 names of people who could do it. But yeah, still, he'd also be going like, man, this is a bitch to write.
Oh, he would be cussing me out because I said, hey, you can do that, but yeah. But I'm sure he would have some fun.
Oh, sure.
Which Ghost Rider are you looking at? Are you looking at the...
Well, I wasn't
Are you looking at motorcycle?
Well, I wasn't thinking about any kind of transportation. I'm just thinking about kind of just the entity Zarthus or whatever, just whatever the demon was, just joined with Etrigan. So I wasn't thinking about whether he was driving a car or a motorcycle, that kind of thing.
Or taking the bus,
Okay.
you know.
Taking the bus.
Bus
I mean,
dude.
I don't remember how Edgerton gets around. I think he kind of flies or whatever. So
That's next week's episode.
There
What
you go.
car does your superhero drive?
We could rig him up with this really cool, like Lobo-style hover cycle thing.
Yep.
there you go. There you
That'd
go.
be cool. Yeah.
Why not?
Mm-hmm. Before this gets too far off the damn rails.
Now I'm thinking about cars.
Well, speaking about that, and since we're already off topic a little bit, and that's fine,
Yeah.
I thought it was a missed opportunity for Jaguar not to be a sponsor for the Black Panther film.
Oh, yeah.
I thought about that a couple times when I've seen the commercial for whatever, I can't remember what car commercial it is that has Chad Boseman on it, and of course it's obviously promoting the film. I'm like, why didn't Jaguar think of anything about this? Why didn't?
Yeah, 'cause I think it was a Lexus, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a Lexus. That's right.
Yeah, that would have been so cool for it to be Jaguar instead. I mean, shit, they've done it for one or two of the Bond movies too.
Right. I just was like, that seems like a no-brainer to do that. I get Alexis because he is a prince or a king, and yeah, should be driving Lexus. But yeah, he could also be driving a freaking Jaguar.
Right. I mean, that would be so fitting.
Yes.
I agree.
Oh well.
I'm sure the rental is much higher on a Jaguar, though.
Then a Lexus? I don't know. I mean, I don't go out and rent luxury cars all the time or anything, but I can't see there being a whole lot of difference. I mean, until you get up to a Rolls Royce, I don't know how.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
I'm also completely talking out of my ass, but that's beside the point.
That hadn't stopped us before.
Absolutely
Right.
not. This podcast is pretty much based on us talking out our asses. But
Pretty much.
we're getting way too meta tonight.
That's what happens when we get that extra 2 days,
Yep. But we're not pointing fingers.
No, we're not.
Much.
Mainly because nobody could see us even if we were.
That's right.
It's an
I
audio
am.
podcast.
They just have to take our word that we're not pointing fingers at anybody. Okay.
Much.
Right.
But I have a look going on.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I'm in so much trouble.
No, you would have been in more trouble if we had actually recorded it on a regular day.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. We're
Yep.
kind of tired now.
And that's why it's okay. It's all good. So, amalgam characters. Who's next?
Oh. I guess that'd be my Frankenstein.
Okay.
Cool.
I started with my favorite, which has kind of changed over the years, but ever since I've read Huck, that kind of superhero just kind of stuck in my head. He had it all, but was so humble, and so he's my base. But I would beef my Huck up. I would
Whoa.
get him.
Say that time real fast. Jesus.
Really?
Is the mic on?
But I would give him I'd give him Batman's training. Definitely Batman's training and his little gadgets. But I would also give him Hulk strength, which I don't know if he would need because he's already kind of like Superman. So I'll scratch that one off. I would give him Captain America's moral radar and Iron Man's tech smart and his money, because he's richer than Batman. So
Is he?
I think so.
Okay. I don't
I,
know.
Now you're talking blasphemy, woman.
Once you get that much frickin' money, I mean, what difference does it
Right.
make? I mean,
It's splitting pennies,
right.
I guess you would have to compare Wayne Corp to, uh, God, I went blank. Iron Man's thing.
Stark Industries.
He owns something, yeah. Or
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
All I can now see is Alfred cutting out coupons. But anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. My guy wasn't as good as my girl was.
Oh, I don't know. I think there's some stuff there to work with.
Yeah.
Yep.
I said I thought Huck was a good story. I wish they would do more with that character.
Maybe they will.
Yep, maybe so.
Never know.
Never know.
Never say never. Again.
Aren't we still trying to forget that?
Alrighty. Anybody else have a character?
I do.
Yeah.
But first I want to know what other powers did Liz's first character get after that go-around?
Well, I stole a couple from Mike. She can now teleport.
She's over there furiously taking notes.
I was looking into two teams. One was from Wonder Woman, and that was the Children of Ares. And in that group, let's see, you had Deimos, the god of terror, Phobos, the god of fear, Eris, the goddess of strife and discord, Lycus, a demigod, and Thrax, a mighty warrior. And I was thinking about having them go and team up with Marvel just because the characters in the Circus of Crime are just the antithesis of these people.
Yeah.
The gods were or are in such a grand state as compared to the Circus of Crime with characters like the Trapeze Trio, Tommy Thumb, Omir. You also had like the Ringmaster. You had Devil Dinosaur. You had the Clown, Jack Pulver, who was what Bullet Head. So, just as an oddity.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
The
That's
idea
cool.
of Eris in some sort of like knife throwing routine could be fun.
Yeah.
Goddess of chaos and strife,
There
throwing
you go.
knives. Pretty much anything would make that interesting. But yeah, nice.
Yep. I agree.
Nice.
No, don't do it like Family Feud and just go good answer.
Good answer.
Good.
Good answer. Good
Good
answer.
answer. No, he wanted the slow clap, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, we need the buzzer sound.
I like wah 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 better.
Yeah, but that was a totally different game show.
That was
Yeah,
that was
true.
for sure.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Keep the trombone from Price is Right.
I say I thought that was Charlie Brown's teacher.
See, that was obviously not a trombone. That had to be a trumpet of some sort,
There you go.
like a cornet or something. And yes, we have now seen the full extent of my knowledge of brass instruments.
Alrighty, anybody else have any other characters they'd like to share?
Oh, sure. I got one more. And this one, again, with the Valiant thing, but this one I realized after I was thinking, I've kind of thought about it for a while, and I thought, yeah, it'd be really cool if I did this. And then I realized it was a big old cheat, in a way. Because, I know. Mainly because it's so easy to do with this. Because the Valiant character that popped into my head next was Exo Manowar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, well, who could I team this one up with? And I came up with a couple ideas, but the one I settled on initially was Nightwing, just because I thought it would be cool. I mean, because he's already a competent crime fighter. I mean, probably beyond competent. I mean, the guy's good. So to give him superpowered armor would just I mean, talk about tipping the scales. It would make him an unstoppable crime-fighting force.
Hmm?
Then I realized what I had thought there. Superpowered armor. And then I thought, well, shit, I can put that on anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nightwing in the Exo armor would be pretty much badass. But I mean, you name it, and anybody, any especially the non-powered heroes that you put in the Exo armor are gonna become instant badasses.
Yep.
That's the deal with armor, and I mean, yes, it's semi-sentient, but I mean that's almost a moot point there. I mean, it doesn't really communicate that much. So yeah, the one that gave me a chuckle in terms of, and this being comics is, I don't want to say iffy because he actually was in a comic, but he had come from another medium. I thought putting Xander Harris in the Exo Manowar armor would be just a hoot and a half. Xander being one of the Scooby Gang from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the guy. He was the average Joe of the group. That's at least how I always viewed him. He was the guy.
Sure.
I mean, he was basically there as a soak for just kind of getting the hell pounded out of him.
Certainly toward the end.
So that Willow and the other Scoobies wouldn't get the hell pounded out of him. He was the guy who basically lost all the fights.
Right.
So yeah, giving him superpowered armor and putting him on par with Buffy would have been really interesting, I think.
He was the dude in distress.
Yeah, pretty much.
In a dress?
Distress.
What a mess. Yeah, not any dress. Distress.
Distress.
This
Yes, this one right here.
Not that one. This
Which is a nice little taffeta number.
Mm-hmm.
So he was the
Jimmy Olsen.
the greatest American hero. If you put him in a suit like this, he wouldn't know how to operate it.
That depends. Well, okay, we're talking about the XO armor. So, like I said, it grabbed a minor European warrior from the Dark Ages.
Okay.
Auric of Dacia he was just a foot soldier, as I recall, if I'm remembering right.
Right.
And so, I mean, would have had little more than basic training in combat and turned him into Exo Manowar. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on when you stick Xander in the suit. If you stick him in season 1, then yeah, he's definitely the greatest American hero. You stick him in season 6, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
He turns badass real fast because he's already got some badass in him at that point. He's already learned. I mean, he's learned how to lose a fight by then for sure.
Yeah.
and
He's got the experience.
has even occasionally won one.
Yeah.
Season 1, he would not have. It would it's two different stories there. Either one of which would be interesting. Because the idea of him with no training whatsoever trying to figure out how to work the suit, that would be funny as hell, or could be. But to put him in already combat trained turns him into a badass. I mean,
pretty cool.
You could actually look at it that way. To go back to the Nightwing thing, you could almost go that route the same way, and you put early Dick Grayson, early pre-training Dick Grayson in the suit, and I mean, he's an acrobat at age whatever the hell age that started, 10 or 12 or whatever. But he doesn't know anything about fighting. And so he kind of wouldn't know what to do with the battle armor. I mean, he wouldn't be flying into the side of buildings, but he would not really know how to use it, versus putting Nightwing in it, already pre-trained and ready to go, just amplifying his own abilities. So I don't know. Like I said, I actually thought about the XO armor for a while before I realized what I was doing, and realized, hey, that's just crazy. You can stick anybody in that thing.
Yeah. You could even stick Huck in it.
You could. I don't know what good it would do you, but you could.
Well, I jotted it down. So.
Oh, good.
Iron Man who?
I feel like I'm back in high school again, and Liz is there copying my notes in chemistry class.
Mm-hmm.
You forgot to cover your paper.
I did totally forget to cover my paper.
The last one I have is probably one that our listening audience is crying out for and wondering why we didn't pair this group up.
We're finally back to Howard the Duck again.
Yes.
No.
The Duck.
Black Panther and Black Lightning.
Nobody's done that before. Nobody's done that before?
I don't think. I'm not aware of it.
Well, that's why they are clamoring for it.
Clamoring.
No, it's a great word. Clamoring.
Clamoring.
That would be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be shocking. Shockingly good.
Whoa. Folks, it's come to this.
Now we get the slow clap going.
You can't see me, but I'm just nodding.
Well played. Well played. Cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool characters. Anybody got any more, or is that it?
We could put the XO armor on Howard the Duck.
There you go. Exo Duck.
Exo Duck.
Oh, gosh.
Let me just say, this was one of the most maddening shows to prepare for. To me, I'm looking at possibilities and I go, no, I can't pair them up because one is a copy of the other. So I'm not gaining anything.
Right. Yeah. Some of these characters have been cloned so many times, it's kind of hard to tell where you can go with them, for sure.
I don't know if you folks checked online to locate possibilities, but I pulled up two lists of one of Marvel, one of DC, and I think Marvel had like 53,000 characters. that you could look up.
Well, that's just
And I don't remember what DC was.
It's a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
It is. See, I have a little book that I wrote all this in, and I went 30 minutes picking up a kid, so I usually do this out in the parking lot, I think, and write. And that's why I had 20 different people in one guy, you know. No Google for me.
You're doing it purely out of memory.
Right.
Yeah, I actually didn't do a lot of looking stuff up either for this. I just, like I said, and which is why it all centered on Valiant mostly, because that was what was in my head at that time, that day.
Sure.
So
That's
the
for
rest
reading.
of it just kind of, yeah, I probably just finished reading some Valiant stuff. I don't know. I don't even remember now. But yeah, and so that and I thought it would be interesting to do it that way because that's kind of not what's been done that
Right.
we've seen. So they're different characters. I mean, like I said, and to Les's point, there are some maybe a little bit of filing off of serial numbers and some potential cloning going on, but I mean that's to be expected. I mean the characters that are being cloned here are the really popular characters, so
Right.
why wouldn't you want your character to be similar to Batman? So, but yeah, I mean some of them are somewhat original, and that adds a different level of stuff to it.
All right. Cool. On that note, we'll take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It is time for our weekly picks, and leading off is Mike.
I am leading off, and my first pick is from Titan Comics, and it is Atlas and Axis #3. This is 3 of 4, so the next issue will be the end. But this is a great little all-ages book combining dogs and swords and Vikings, and it's just a whole lot of fun. It is written and drawn by Pau, who is a French cartoonist and does stuff like this all the time. He's been doing it his whole career. But yeah, this is the story of two dogs whose village is destroyed by Vikings, and they're hell bent on chasing down one of the captives that the Vikings took and retrieving them and getting revenge if they can. And like I said, it's an all age. It's not like a really dark revenge story, but they don't have any reason not to go fight these Vikings because like I said, their village was destroyed. And they're between the two of them, they're best buddies, and between the two of them, and they were really funny dynamic with the relationship. And they meet some interesting and cool characters along the way, and it's a lot of fun as a series.
I totally agree. This is one title that I pick up, and one of the first titles I read when I get home. It's just easy and it's fun. Yet they're trying to teach you somewhat of a lesson.
Mm-hmm. Several different lessons, including history, but yeah.
True.
Alrighty. Cool. I am up next. And for my first choice, I'm going with Image Comics. And this is Infidel, #1 of a 5-issue miniseries. And it deals with an American Muslim woman who moves into a building that's haunted. But the thing kind of a nice little twist of a haunted house story is the fact that the beings, the ghosts, feed off xenophobia. So there's a little bit of a kind of a political, racial, whatever you want to kind of take, you want to call it. I'm definitely intrigued with this one. It sounds like it could be a pretty cool story. It's written by Pornsak Pishote, and I'm sure I butchered the hell out of the name, and I apologize. But I definitely like the premise of this one. It sounds like it might be a really cool story to read.
Yep.
This one struck me as very odd, but I can see where the phobia is going to run rampant in the story.
Yeah, this one has a lot of potential to be a really cool story. So, alrighty, Les, you're up next.
My first choice comes from Archie Comics. It is another all ages called Cosmo, and this is a kind of a space tilt to a story. You have the alien who is a astronaut from the U.S. on a planet with some very odd creatures. It's a fun read. It too, like Axis, is quick read, and since it does appeal to so many, I think it's a strong book to take home and enjoy. I know I do.
Yeah, I did a review on the second issue, which I liked, but after reading the book, I kind of did a little research and found out this is actually based off a property that Archie had done a couple of books for during the 50s. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. You know, they kind of did a little different take and all that. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I mean, a 60-year-old property they decided to dust off and give it new life, and it's been a fun book so far.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah.
So, Liz, I believe you are next.
All right. Well, I'm going to follow in Les's shoes. Mine also comes out of Archie Comics. It's Vampironica. It sounds like she's been bit by a century-old vampire, and she's got to decide if she wants to be a vampire or if she wants to remain living. I thought it would be cool. Someone taught me the 3-issue rule because it's going to be an ongoing series. So I'm going to see if it's any good. It sounds real good.
Yeah, this could be kind of interesting.
If they do it right.
Yeah.
Sometimes vampire stories, they go way out there, and it's like, where's the garlic?
Well, yeah, but they've also done pretty well with some other horror type stuff. So, like the Archie versus Predator was fun.
Oh God, yeah.
They've done some Sabrina stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say my little
Jughead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My concern is Archie's not really had a good track record considering in terms of putting out material on a consistent basis.
Very true.
Yeah.
There's
now Jughead has been the Hunger has been pretty good so far. I've liked that, and this has potential. But I'm just when Afterlife with Archie came out, and for those who've not read that, I do recommend getting the first trade. I thought it was really good. It's a zombie story, but it's been forever since the last issue, and unfortunately, it was part of it may have finished up the story arc, so that may be at a point right now. But the Sabrina the last issue has been 6 months or so, and that was actually part 2 of a 6-chapter story arc.
Yeesh.
Oh wow.
And the problem is the guy who's writing it is Roberto. Sakara, I'm blanking on his name right now. He is the head writer. He's involved with the Riverdale TV show, and he's going to be involved with the Sabrina TV show. So it's like he has no time to write the comics. But I mean, getting back to Vampironica, I'm sorry that I kind of went on a tangent there.
No.
But yeah, this could be really good. I think it could be kind of an interesting story. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mikey, you are up again.
Okay, and the reason a vampire story sounds cool to me is because I have one too. Mine is from Action Lab, is from their Danger Zone imprint. And this is Subspecies #1. I mean, obviously, Action Lab's Danger Zone, they do some fun stuff with horror, and they've done some stuff with the Full Moon people with some movie properties, and this is kind of another one of those. But I'm not gonna lie, I kind of, when I spotted this, I didn't care what the story was. I saw two things. I saw vampires and I saw Cullen Bunn, and I was like, yeah, I'm in. It was that simple. It actually does sound like a cool story. It is kind of the story of a woman who was turned into a vampire years ago and is kind of still trying to figure that all out and how it all is supposed to work and learn to live with it, essentially.
Yeah, Bunn seems to be kind of writing books off of movies right now. I mean, in addition to his own own work, because Pumpkinhead just came out a couple of weeks ago, and he's writing that one as well.
Yep.
Not saying that's a bad thing, but it just kind of seemed like I see a trend here.
Mm-hmm. A little bit, and we'll see how that plays out too.
Yeah, I don't like I said, I don't have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, it is my turn, and I believe for the first time today, we are turning our attention to DC Comics. And this is Justice League of America Bronze Age Omnibus Volume 2. With a ton of creators. I mean, let's just name off some of the names that are on this. We are talking about Len Wein, Cary Bates, Elliot S. Mangan, Martin Pascal, Gary Conway, E. Nelson Birdwell, Steve Englehart, and Denny O'Neil, with art by Dick Dillon, Dick Giordano, and Frank McLaughlin. This collects Justice League of America 114 through 146, which that was the time period, especially the latter part of this run, was my introduction to the Justice League. So I gotta get this.
So you're biased.
I am biased. Hey, at least I'm honest.
Uh-huh. You're not denying nothing.
No. And in this includes the first team up between the Justice League, Justice Society, and the Legion of Superheroes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Alrighty, Les.
Okay, my second choice is from Titan Comics. Quarry's War, #4. This is the end of the series. Max Allan Collins is the writer, and this has been a really good read. Quarry is a ex-Vietnam sniper turned hitman. He is called upon by a certain person called the Broker. Quarry is not his name. That is just the name that the Broker gave him, and therefore he is always referenced in the book as Quarry rather than by his real name. And in this one, It is a wrap-up of the story, and it's because Quarry finds that his latest contract is an old acquaintance from the military. I've got the first 3 books of this, and it's been a really good read. It's a fun read. I say that a lot, but this one's fun because it does rely on a bit of history here and there too. So find them. Quarry's War, number 4.
Yep.
Hey, that rhymed.
Back to that Etrick and the Demon thing again.
There you go.
Oh,
Maybe Les should be writing it. There you go.
There you go. Full circle.
Holy guacamole, people.
No, that didn't rhyme. I'm sorry.
No, try harder.
Yeah, try harder.
I wasn't trying.
Sound like you're dying. 3 eggs and ham. Sam, I am.
What is
Already,
this? The Princess Bride? What the hell?
Anybody want a peanut?
Alrighty, Liz.
All right, my second pick is a spinoff from the Milk Wars that DC Young Animals did. It's following Carolyn Sharp, or I guess I should give you the name first, Eternity Girls. It's a mini-series. This is the first of 6, but it's following Carolyn Sharp. She's been a superhero and a super spy, and she can't die. Well, now she's gotten herself depressed, and there's no way to change it. So she has an offer from somebody. I can tell you how to kill yourself, but in exchange for this information, you're going to have to wipe out the whole world. So she's kind of left with this choice. Yeah. So for our sakes, we hope she's not too depressed. So, yeah, like I said, this should be a pretty good one. I enjoyed the Milk Wars, so
Wipe
we'll
out
see how
the
this one
whole
goes.
world. But
Yeah,
that's where I keep all my stuff.
Right? It's kind of curious, though. Kind of a what if, what would you do? If you were so depressed, there was no way to change it, and you can't die.
Wow.
You'd have to live forever.
I don't know. Destroy the world, go to therapy. Destroy the world, go to therapy.
Go to therapy.
I don't know. It's tough.
But how much therapy would it take when you're going to live forever? So you've seen all of your friends die, you've seen all of your family die, you've seen all your dogs die.
Then she's got plenty of time if she's going to live forever to go to all the therapy she wants. I mean, come on.
Right.
And I feel a little bad, like kind of making fun of this, but because it actually does sound like a cool idea.
Yeah.
But
Is this a comedy?
No.
Dude.
I don't think it was meant to be. But yeah, like I said, it should be pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll have to see what she decides.
Alrighty, and our honorable mention this week is...
Our honorable mention this week is the hardcover collection. It's actually the Volume 2 hardcover collection of the Nailbiter series by Joshua Williamson and Mike Henderson. This is probably not going to be any surprise to any faithful listeners because I talked a lot about this book when it was running. And so the Volume 2 collects issues 11 through 20, so basically the third and fourth trades. So I imagine there will be a Volume 3 coming out in the near future. But this is a really pretty hardcover version, collecting, like I said, 10 issues and a whole bunch of extra bonus stuff, which is always fun. So definitely, if you missed out on Nailbiter, A, what's wrong with you? And B, here's your chance. Go grab the first one and grab this one. They're actually fairly reasonably priced for the size that that the book is. It's a very fun story with lots of serial killers.
Cool.
Very cool.
I like it.
Yeah, Nailbiter was a fun read.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, any special mentions this week?
If you guys don't mind me saying,
Uh-oh.
March is MS Awareness Month, and like I said, I have a very dear loved one who is affected with MS, and just some of the facts that they've been throwing out, I had no idea that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. So just be aware. Like I said, there's not a lot of answers to this disease yet, and unfortunately it does, wind up degrading the quality of life. So just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
No,
that's cool.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah, people should. I mean, it's one of those things that that we don't know a whole lot about. So
We don't. Yep. And like I said, just some of the daily things that he deals with, I had no idea that I hate to say it this way, but the struggle's real,
Right.
and it's your body just wants to shut down on you and your brain doesn't. So, what do you do? But he's been a hero, and he's always been my buddy and my personal hero. Just, he handles it in stride,
Well, good for him for having such a good attitude about it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Alrighty, any other?
Not me.
Okay. Alrighty, well, we can get to our regular shout-outs then. First off, Manny the Martyr for supplying the music for our podcast. Thank you guys very, very much. You can check out their music. We'll have the link in our show notes, or you can also go to our website, go to the podcast page, and you'll see their logo there. Just click on that and enjoy some music. Thank you guys once again. Obviously, the fine folks on Twitter that constitute the Podern family, the associated. I was about to say Association of Podcasters, but it's a non-group group, I guess you could say. Thank you for supporting us, retweeting our tweets, and spreading the word of the fellowship. Y'all guys should really go out there and check them out. You can just go to Twitter, do a search hashtag Podern Family. You don't have to have an account for Twitter to do that. And you're going to see a ton of different shows all over the spectrum. Just anything. Just download an episode and check it out and support these guys. Thank y'all very much for helping us out. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. It's greatly appreciated. We appreciate your support in the past. We always value your feedback. You have a comment, question, suggestion, whatever, let us know. We would love to hear from you. And there are several ways you can do that. You can email us, and that is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Go that route. Or you can go to the website and click on the About Us tab, and there's a form there that you can fill out. We'll get that. Or you can contact us through social media. We are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. Or you can contact us through Twitter, and feel free to follow us both places. It's @Fellowship Geeks for us on Twitter. And if you'd like to follow us on our personal Twitter accounts, you're more than welcome to do so. Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @Newman_L. And I'm @TomTCGeek. And wherever you download or listen to our podcast, please rate us and review us. Obviously, you can You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and I'm happy to say that we are now on Spotify.
Yay.
Yeah,
Yay.
just found out this past week. Mikey sent me a message saying, "Hey, look at this," and it's awesome. So we are now on Spotify. So please take a moment to rate us, and if you got a couple extra moments, a review would be awesome. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's it.
Alrighty. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, and hope to hear from you, and hopefully you enjoyed the show.
Thank you for listening once again. We appreciate the support, as always. And until next time, read more comics and support your local stores. We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,